Mistlands sneak peeks, new materials, bug fixes, changes with item stands, all in the news today. Let's get started. Irongate put out their monthly update today with some great sneak peeks and teasers for the Mistlands. They mentioned the hair that they've shown us before and confirmed it will always be there, not just at Easter. Maybe people asked about that? I never thought that, especially as Grimcore has told us that this little bunny was added in because they needed something small just for hunting. But it has its own little purpose as well that we'll see later and will have its own unique drop. A bit of a mystery about what that drop could be, since this doesn't look like a normal bunny, like the boars and deer do in the meadows. They mentioned working on creating another kind of inhabitant for the Mistlands that they want to keep as a surprise for a while, but that they think it'll be something many of us have been curious about. So I'm thinking this could go a couple different ways. For one, they've released this concept art of this seeker bug that people have been guessing about a lot, including its size and whether it's the thing that Grim mentioned about something being tamed from the beginning that might help us. As they have said, there will be nothing in the Mistlands that we can tame ourselves. Or they could be stirring the pot about the ongoing spiders debate again. Robin did say last week that he was going to start testing a new mob that Richard had come up with and was excited about, as it would make the Mistlands harder than they currently have it at. So that could be a spider design. But the fact that Richard was so excited for Robin to start looking at and testing this makes me think that it's probably something new and more unique. They talk about Mistlands also being a place where civilizations of old built homes and strongholds alike, and they've been finishing designs of these structures and show us a small building and a tall bridge ruin. These are screenshots, but they still need to be weathered and turned into ruins to show how long they've been there. So if we look at the building more closely, there are quite a few things of note. The first thing that pops out to me is the copper trim going around the top, of course. Could be another use for our copper. I don't think it's a new metal because it literally looks exactly like the copper items that we currently have. Second is the stone that the building is made from. Looks like some kind of marble or possibly granite, and it's definitely made of shapes of blocks that we don't currently have, like these angled pieces on top and in the doorway. So fingers crossed we'll be getting these as build pieces as well. If not, we can all cry together. This decorative shape in the middle looks like a face to me. Almost like an ancient carving. There's also something on a stand on each side of this door. I can't tell what it is, but it looks like it's made out of metal. Robin has said that we're going to be getting different angles of build pieces, and he already has them modeled and they just need to be added in at some point. Might be nice to add those at the same time that we get these angled pieces. Am I right? Also, the stone that it's sitting on doesn't look like any stone that we have in the game now. It looks more like what the building is made of. Of course, this isn't aged yet, but would they be aging the ground as well? I doubt it. Nice to see these vines growing on the building like we find in the meadows, as it's great to be able to keep those intact and incorporate them into builds as well. Some of the devs have said that they think it would be nice to be able to plant those vines and maybe harvest something from them, but that sounded mostly like surmising and not actually planting anything. If you notice the tree off to the left, and also in the next pic, you can see this new type of tree that we'll be getting in the Mistlands. This has been shown before when they gave us this little cottage pic. You can see more of the shape of them here. I'm no expert on trees. What kind of tree does that look like to you? You can see the leaves more clearly in the new pic. Also in the cottage pic, we could still see these sharp stones jutting about like in one of the earliest peaks of the Mistlands from Richard. And there's still the tip of one showing over here on the right, so that part of the design seems to be staying. Hopping on to the second picture, there's this tall bridge rising up out of the mist. It seems to be made of that same kind of black stone. The pieces at the top definitely seem to have a more smooth texture, which would be really nice in our builds, since the wall pieces that we have now always end up looking pretty rough. No telling how tall this bridge is, but there does seem to be a theme of there being really high cliffs and the mist down, and you're like trying to get up above the mist somehow, which would make sense why these inhabitants had these bridges. And calls into question again the idea some people have about whether the seeker bug is going to be something that we can jump on top of to help rise us up above the mist to a higher level. You can see another one of the little ruined buildings up on the cliff there, and I'm thinking this tree on the right is probably one of the new ones, but it's hard to tell. One of the things I really like in this picture is how pretty the mist looks. The imagery and the light in Valheim is always top-notch, and I think this is going to be no exception. It's going to be beautiful, no matter how deadly. On a technical note, they talk about finding a solution for cloud sync, where some people have gotten their saves overwritten and replaced with earlier versions. That would suck. So it's nice that they're really trying to put a focus on that. They talk about how this patch will come to the public test branch, so that's nice. We'll get to test things out and help them out for it. And props to Build of the Month by Vano the Viking. Got a really nice build here, and I like how the lighting is done inside of this build. If you want to be considered for the Build of the Month, you can post on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and use the hashtag ValheimBotM. In case you missed it, Valheim has sold over 10 million copies. Congratulations, Iron Gate. That is quite the accomplishment. Much bigger sales than a lot of other games that have a lot bigger names, and they have amazing positive reviews on Steam too. Keep it going, we're proud of you guys. The team took a little trip to Stockholm this week for a little R&R, which is kind of nice because they haven't taken any time to celebrate their success. They've just been working. So it's good that they got a little bit of time away. While they were there, they visited with some other devs from Mojang, the makers of Minecraft. No, this does not mean that they're selling out to Microsoft, but it was nice for him to get to visit a bit. And Luma, one of the devs, actually used to work for Mojang. So that's cool. He might have gotten to say hi to some old friends. They also stopped by the Brick Studios, which is the company that did the animated Hearth and Home trailer for them. And we know that Robin's really interested in doing some more animated stuff in the future. That was really fun for him. So maybe we'll see something on that front again at some point. Grim also showed this picture of Viking shields and said, "We do research." Cool designs here. Of course, they know that we want more individualization in our armor and our weapons, and that is something that they're interested in doing, but it's probably going to be farther down the line, especially for armor customization. I had an interesting question come up on my last news video where Camphorol asked, has the micro stuttering been resolved? And this is something that people ask about pretty regularly. So I asked around, and Smitha pointed out that if you go into your settings and you turn off this option that says camera shake, then it will not shake when you're in a position of standing on an edge, standing in a corner, standing in one of these odd spots that it makes your character shake like crazy. However, when you do that, it also takes off the camera shake for all of the other effects where it's used in the game, such as when there's a big mob around, or when you're fighting a boss, or things like that, or sliding down the side of a mountain. And I don't want to get rid of all of those shakes because that's what makes it seem very more realistic to me. So I'll keep my camera shake on and just jump in a different place when that's happening. But apparently it's happening because your character is in a position where it thinks that it's still sliding on something. Like if you're standing in a particular corner or edge where it might be sliding down something, but you're not really sliding anymore. And so he said that he would add this to the weird bugs category for them, because I don't think it really should keep doing that if you're standing completely still. It's probably not real high on their priority list, though, honestly. But thanks for that question. That was a good one. I did also want to mention that I chatted with one of the devs about how the turnip is the only fruit or vegetable that cannot be attached to an item stand. And they said it was okay for me to let you guys know that it's being added to the to-do list to get that fixed, because it seems like just an oversight. As well as they need to look back at the list in general and see what items can and can't be attached to an item stand, because it seems like more of them should. Yay! No promises on any timeline for this, of course. They have a lot of things on their to-do list, but it's nice to know that it is definitely there. Please leave a like if this video is helpful to you. as it really does help the channel grow, and subscribe for all things Valheim, as I always keep up to date on everything I can find. Happy gaming!